Guys, we're back for another video for the third day of Hype Week from last Epoch. So we'll go over it like the other previous two videos and get my reaction on it. So today is Endgame balance and itemization update coming to last Epoch, April 17th. Hello Traveler, welcome to the third installment of the pre-patch Hype Week blog post. We've mentioned some of the new crafting options previously, and today's blog post will dig into all the specifics on Endgame itemization, potential waiting inside itemization potential, waiting inside the new tombs, cemeteries, and woven echoes. Okay, give me a sec here. Boom, boom. Okay. We'll also delve more into the balance changes beyond the Sentinel overhaul, and a few uniques and idols coming with last Epoch Season 2, Tombs of the Erased on April 17th. If you guys haven't seen already, I've just released a video also about the podcast that they had yesterday on Talkative Try's stream. So go check this out. I have it linked in the description down below, where they talked about a lot of these things as well, and I do a nice little TLDR there. So Endgame crafting additions. We know players love our forge and more cavalier crafting mechanics. Obviously, last Epoch has the best crafting system in any RPG by far, in my opinion. Season 2, the Weaver has blessed us with 6 new endgame crafting methods to aid you on your journey through Eterra. Set shattering. So basically, you will be able to put in set items, extract shards from those set items, and craft on regular items. And those regular items will become a part of the set. This has been talked a lot in the past, coming up for this patch. So this is where they are reiterating that set item crafting is happening with extracting shards from the set items. These are going to be woven echoes that you go into, and you have the Forge of Shattering. You shatter your set shards, and you craft them onto regular items. Those shards can also go up to tier 6 or 7 affixes. Specifically, you can also use the new Rune of Havoc, which shuffle the tiers. So basically, if you have a Void Resistance affix tier 7 and a tier 1 set affix, you can swap these out so that the Void Res becomes tier 1, and then the other one becomes, the set shard becomes tier 7. So extremely, extremely powerful. We also have Idle Enchanting. After defeating the boss in a tomb or cemetery, don't just leave. In the final room, you will find a woven enchanter. This happens in every single tomb or cemetery, and depending which one it is, gives you between 2 and 4 chances at enchanting your idols. Allows you to enchant class-specific idols: Adorned, Grand, Huge, Large, or Ornate, with new affixes called Enchanted Affixes, and some Weaver's Touch. Weaver's Touch is something like the Weaver's Will, where if you kill monsters, it upgrades the affix tiers, and also you can have a new crafting material, which will add the tiers without having to kill any monsters. It can also be used to reroll the existing enchanted affixes in Weaver's Touch for Memory Amber. Memory Amber is the currency that you gain by completing the tombs and cemeteries. It's the main currency of the patch for the Weaver's Tree. Weaver's Touch and consume like Weaver's Will when slaying enemies, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about this. It can reach tier 7, right? So these new affixes will be able to reach from tier 1 to tier 7 to get, more powerful version of them. And this has been revealed to be that you will most likely be able to get one tier 7 and your second one, maybe realistically tier 3 or 4. But getting 2 tier 7 would be a freaking amazing item, GG item. Tombs will allow you to use the Woven Enchanter once, cemeteries twice, and some Woven Echoes may allow you to use it up to 4 times. This number applies to each enchant and re-enchant and can be used on different idols. For example, if an altar has 3 uses, a player may choose to put an unenchanted idol in it and enchant it, and then re-enchant the same idol for Memory Amber. This would count as 2 uses of the Woven Enchanter. The player could then place a different idol in the Woven Enchanter and choose to enchant or re-enchant it depending on their wishes. This would consider a 3rd use of the Woven Enchanter available to them. So it gives you a certain amount of uses, right? Attribute swapping, talked about this also in the podcast, but you will be able to swap attributes between int, strength, dex, and attunement, but not vitality. This is especially good for body armors or helmet, where these affixes don't drop for every single class. For example, on a rogue, you cannot drop an intelligence helmet or body armor. But if you're using ballista, there is a node that gives you more damage per intelligence for your ballista. So those are valuable affixes. Now you'll be able to remove whatever other affix you have there for attribute, like strength, and then change it into intelligence and make use of it. So this basically makes it so that you don't have to swap to another character to farm gear for the one that you are playing, right? This is not available for Vitality because Vitality is available for all classes. I'm pretty sure they might have talked about it here. The Observer's Gaze may touch many domains, but life remains in the hands of a Terra. This is why you cannot replace or choose Vitality or the plus all attributes affix. Okay. Experimental crafting. Okay, so they're basically going over pretty much everything that was talked yesterday in Talkative Trees podcast. I already have a video talking quite extensively about this. We will kind of fast on this one. Again, the video is going to be linked down below. Experimental crafting. They basically removed the glyph of insight, which required you to use a third-party source to know exactly what you're going to get the glyph of insight and how to guarantee getting the proper experimental affixes on your items. Now you will be able to go directly into this woven echo and use the thaumaturgy device to replace one of the prefixes on your item for a deterministic experimental affix. You can then, again, use the Rune of Havoc to make it exalted by shuffling the tiers of your affixes. So yeah, so this is pretty good. Quality does not go unnoticed. The chance of higher tier experimental affix outcome increases with the combined prefix tiers. If the prefixes are tier 6 or 7 exalted, then they contribute much more to the chance for higher tier outcomes. Rerolling uniques. Finally, the unique you've always wanted to drop, but fate has it so that not been kind when it comes to the implicits and affixes attached to it. So basically, for those familiar with Path of Exile, this is kind of like a divine. You can like now divine your uniques. If you give it a unique with a similar power level. So for example, if you have a unique with 1 LP that you've slammed, you can use another 1 LP to reroll that unique. Basically, this doubles for each unique that you drop extra from the one that you want to reroll. Basically, it gives you 2 items for 1. It basically doubles the value of every single unique by letting you reroll another unique that is the same unique with another one of the same thing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And also, if it is legendary with you've already slammed something on it, you can still reroll the entire unique, but it will also reroll the range of the legendary that you slammed. So this can be beneficial or not beneficial if you've already slammed a perfect slam on that one, right? So another woven echo, the woven offerings, rerolling uniques, basically giving more value to every single unique that you find. Legendary crafting potential. See the turtle. Through her web, find this legendary creature for a legendary crafting opportunity. Though the open sea is filled with both wonder and danger. Huh? Through her web, find this legendary creature for a legendary crafting opportunity. Though the open sea is filled with both wonder and danger. What is this? What is this turtle? Is this... Huh? Woven potential. Offer your legend potential to the weaver to reforge or consume according to her design. Once you place unique items with at least 1 LP into the transmuting gem, you can take your chance at re-rolling the amount of legendary potential each item has. For each item, the new LP is rolled with the same way as the legendary potential of a freshly dropped unique of that type, so think carefully and pray the weaver blesses you. However, should the weaver forsake you and fail to grant your item any additional LP, all LP on the items will be taken by her. So basically, all of your 1 LP items that you would only use if it had like 2 or 3, you can put in here. It has a chance to roll 2 or 3 LP, or has a chance to drop it down to 0. And then that 0 LP unique, you can still put it in a Nemesis egg to try and get more LP on it again, or legendary affixes. So this just gives your items more a sort of like a longer lifespan and more chances of getting what you want. New crafting materials, Rune of Weaving. We all know that having the right gear can be an integral part. So, okay, Rune of Weaving, basically, this is the one I talked about before. It will be able to add tiers to your Weaver's Will item or your Weaver's Touch idols without having to kill any monster. So basically, boom, boom, boom. Very easy to know what you'll get on those items now. Rune of Havoc, the most important one, I feel. Being able to shuffle the tiers of affixes. This is the one that you will use to transfer a tier 7, void res prefix, suffix to a tier 7 plus level of ballista or something like this. So insane Rune of Havoc. It shuffles the tiers of all the affixes on the item. Rune of Redemption randomly changes the exalted affixes into different affixes. Insane for like maybe you find a random item with like 2 exalted affixes on it, or even 3, but none of them are really for your build. But you just use a Rune of Redemption. It changes them again, rerolls them to something else, and maybe you get like a crazy 2-3 affixes that are exalted on your item, and yeah, that's more power creep basically. This is gonna be insane for like multiple LP. Cannot wait to see what people actually get with Rune of Redemption as well. Balance changes. The feedback we received on Boss Ward was substantial and divisive. While many players were in favor of the change from dynamic damage reduction from Boss Ward, we also heard all the feedback on how this change affected gameplay. We have been working on some adjustment to how the Boss Ward mechanic is applied and reducing the frequency that players will encounter it. In Season 2, the initial decay rate of Boss Ward will be doubled, and it will be seen in far fewer enemies than before. It will only be found on bosses that feel like that they should have it. The most notable bosses, such as Aberoth, Harbingers, Shade of Orbis, and Timeline bosses, will keep their Boss Ward. However, lesser enemies, such as Exiled Mages, Nemesis, or mini-bosses, will no longer have it. Bosses that have had their Boss Ward removed have been compensated by increasing their health. Yeah, I think, honestly, my opinion on this is that they could just give, bosses a lot of health and punish you if you have a ZDPS build. If you deal no damage, then you should not kill this boss. You should be struggling if you build no damage. The entire reason why Boss Ward was there is to have something in place that high damage builds can still apply all their damage, but kind of rewards you for, not reward, but like it doesn't punish builds that don't have damage. But I feel like you should be punished. Then again, they remove it from a lot of them. They double the decay rate. I think it's a good change, good step in the right direction. The best step would be just remove it entirely and boost the health. But I mean, that is my opinion. Again, very, very substantial and divisive feedback, right? Player balance change. The delicate balance of health, ward, offense, and defense between passive skills and items is an integral part of last Epoch, which is why we listen so closely to player feedback in these areas. Often players find that specific classes or builds have an easier time scaling health, while other excels more with ward, and so whenever one of them is substantially better than the other, we'll see the meta closely be tied around builds that can utilize whichever is better at the time. In recent patches, ward has been the more dominant meta for a few reasons. The introduction of 2 new masteries, Rune Master and Warlock, and a major buff to Sorcerer. These classes had many good sources of skills and passive to invest in ward generation as their primary defense. This combined with ward not being strongly tied to gear made it very easy to obtain high amounts of ward, while health required lots of itemization to compete. In Season 2, we're making a few changes to tighten up the gap between these 2 defensive options. And below are some details to tide you over while you wait for the patch notes with the full list of changes on April 11th. Part of what made ward so powerful has been the intelligence attribute. It provides both damage scaling and ward retention, a very integral part of keeping the ward you gain as high as possible. This, in combination with passive and items that provide additional scaling for intelligence, both in offense and defense, has made Int an easy choice for players to focus on ward builds. So basically, ward builds had to scale. Okay, for example, there's a very popular build, Frost Claw, for example, with spark charges. Spark charges get scaling off of Int for flat damage. You would get, everything would scale off of your intelligence, your ward retention. So you basically were incentivized to scale as much intelligence for your damage, for your defense, for everything, literally for everything. So it was just way too powerful to just stack one thing and just fix all of your problems. There was no problem solving. It was just stack Int, you win the game. And now they're making some changes to this. So maybe we'll have to think a little bit more carefully about, okay, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to scale this thing for my defense and that other thing for my offense, right? To address this, we have introduced ward retention offered by intelligence to 2% per point from 4%. So they are having the ward retention from int. However, due to the ward decay formula works, this doesn't just simply mean that the amount of ward you maintain is cut in half. No, because this is the ward retention formula. For those of you who want to go into like all the details of this. Some of this ward retention can be added back through new affixes exclusive to the Weaver idols as shown below, but the overall amount of ward retention obtainable in Season 2 will be lower than before. You can get minor idols with 8% ward retention and 9 ward per second, or stout idols with 16 ward per second and 10 ward retention. Pretty interesting idols here. I feel like these are going to be used quite a bit. Ward decay threshold. We're also offsetting this by increasing the amount of other lesser scaling stats that help you increase your ward pool through gear. These stats are ward per second and ward decay threshold. A new craftable hybrid affix will spawn on rings and amulet and help increase not only the rate you gain ward per second, but also raise your ward decay threshold, which lets you have more ward before it starts decaying. So you will get a suffix for ward per second and ward decay threshold. Okay, let me just put this way. If you find this in the story, I think this is going to be absolutely OP for defense. I think you find one of these early on, and GG, like you are invincible for the entire time that you play the story. Yeah, just putting it out there. You know, maybe you want to add this affix to your loot filters, guys. Maybe. Ward per second. Alongside the new affixes, we're also increasing the ward per second affix found on offhand catalysts and the helmets and body armor for mages and acolytes, making it around 40% stronger across all tiers and making it a little bit more common to find in a Terra. Pretty nice changes. Nerfing ward retention, putting it a little bit more into you nerf the inherent ward retention you get from just stacking int, and then you increase other areas where you can get you can itemize for ward more now instead. So that is quite nice. Health and endurance. In addition, Season 2 comes with some substantial buff to health regen as well. This is mainly done by making added health regen less a scarce stat, but also by slightly buffing the values of the increased health regen affix, around 15% across the board. Wait, they're not even showing health regen. What? Oh, added health. Okay. The added health affix available on almost all the equipment slots has been increased for tier 4 to 7, but most notably the maximum value tier 5 by 20%, from 75 to 90, and tier 7 by 12.5%, up to 180. So they are nerfing ward, buffing health. Don't know if it's actually a big nerf for ward, but at least you'll have to itemize for ward if you want to go that route. Added health and added health regen. So we're seeing you're getting hybrid health and health regen, which is pretty crazy since flat health regen was not so widely available before. Rings and relics can now spawn with hybrid health affix. Okay. The added health and added health regen. Increase health regen. We're also making changes to the increased health regen suffix. This suffix will spawn now on helmets, body armor, belts, rings, and relics. But as of Season 2, it will no longer spawn on gloves. For legacy players, existing gloves with this affix will remain as they are, but will no longer be upgradable in the Forge. That is pretty insane changes to add to health regen, actually. Those are some pretty insane changes. We also have a few other changes related to health, which we've detailed below. Extra potion slot and potion health. And potions now heal more. Okay, don't really care about this. Endurance threshold. Moving on to Season 2, the endurance threshold suffix will only roll on belts. This will free up suffix slots that previously competed with the added health suffix, which will also increase your endurance threshold as this scales with your total health. This change was made in most cases, endurance threshold needlessly complicated build crafting and diluted the pool of available affixes without having a meaningful positive impact, especially for new players, when increasing your health with added health was the better option. Items from previous seasons, helm, glove, blah, 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 with the endurance threshold suffix will remain as they are. Okay, that's pretty good. Global damage over time, more ward, more health, more crit avoidance, more dodge. Those are all going to help when a mob or boss hits you. But what about when an enemy lands an attack that's not a hit? Damage over time is another area players have let us know is a point where they would like to see improved, especially in an empowered monoliths as corruption begins to build. To help with this, in Season 2, we are reducing the damage over time player takes by 15% globally, as well as having the current damage over time bonus enemies receive from corruption. This is great because I feel like the damage over time is like damage over time mitigation is not so widely available, and like 99% of builds just like really struggle against damage over time. If it says an enemy has 60% more health and damage, the actual effect is enemies have 60% more health, 60% more hit damage, and 30% more damage over time. Okay, so it's like way reduced for this. Just like other major updates, Season 2 comes with lots of changes to different skills, while some skills near the ceiling are being brought down a notch, such as mana stacking static orb nerf, sacrifice with high minion counts, Falcon build, especially dive bomb, and potion ballista. Holy, they are nerfing my ballista. Holy. We're also, I mean, this was all very much expected nerfs. I am surprised that they are not talking about Storm Totem. No Storm Totem nerf. Best build of the patch, maybe. We're also buffing a significant number of skills that have been on the weaker side. As we prepare to release the full detailed breakdown with the patch notes on April 11th, we can still share some of them with you here today. Given we have already covered the majority of Sentinel change in the blog post, we have prepared a list of interesting changes to some other class for this post instead. Many abilities have received buffs to their damage and base functionalities, such as Black Hole base damage and effectiveness are doubled, the Time Dilation node now provides 10% increased duration per point, and Singularity grants 100% more damage from 50%. Okay, Black Hole build. Flurries, by the way, I don't know, like Black Hole. We'll see. Can someone make Black Hole feel good to play? I really wonder. I think Black Hole just is like very, it's very hard to play Black Hole because it plays very badly and it has a long cooldown, and then you need to invest into the cooldown node, and yeah, we'll see. Flurry's damage effectiveness has been increased from 60 to 80. Shuriken from 100 to 125. Acid Flash, okay, like Shuriken. The problem with Shuriken is that how do you build tankiness on this build? You're essentially removing all of the armor you can gain from Shurikens to deal damage with a skill, which makes it just kind of, sacrificing this amount of tankiness for this there are better options, I feel. Acid Flask damage effectiveness has been increased from 100 to 125, and Alchemical Proficiency node grant 8% more damage per point from 3%. Okay, Acid Flask. Tornado's damage effectiveness has been increased from 75 to 125. Maelstrom has been increased. Ice Barrage damage and damage effectiveness are increased by 20%. Bright Lens nodes grants 30% more hit damage. Okay. Dreadshade no longer has a duration. Okay, pretty massive for minion build if you want. Like single minion builds with Dreadshade no longer have to refresh it. Kind of nice. This is like a very good quality of life. You can now hold 3 black arrows from 1, allowing you to pick up a few of them instead of needing to summon, needing to consume it every time before you can pick up another. Movement skills are able to shortcut through corners and short gaps more than before. For example, skills like Fury Leap would normally allow you to traverse only 30 meters worth of walking, but that has been doubled to 60 meters, allowing you to jump bigger gaps than before. This is crazy. Wow, this is an amazing change. I didn't even know this. This is such an amazing change. What the hell? Warcry's Berserk buff duration has been increased from 1 second to 1.5. Puncture's Bleeding Fury stacks from Bloodthirst node now respect Puncture's conversion. For example, if Puncture is converted to poison or cold, Bleeding Fury stack would grant poison or frost by chance instead of bleed chance. Very nice little change here. Burning Dagger, a sub-skill available to some rogue skills, such as the upcoming Heartseeker, has received a base damage and damage effectiveness increase to 30 and 150 from 16 and 100. Okay, pretty good. Disintegrates lasers with focus nodes now grants 40% less damage instead of 60, and no longer has 60% less element chance. For those who want to play a disintegrate build. It's standing in place. Disintegrate would be good if it dealt an absurd amount of damage. Until then, I don't think Disintegrate is really going to be playable. Summon Skeleton's mana cost has been reduced to 9. Summon Bone Golems has been reduced. Skeletal Mage has been reduced. Manifest Armor and Raid Lord are now much more responsive at high movement speed, reducing the instant of the minion struggling to move to its intended location and stop skating instead. Skating. Summon Bear now gains 20 health per strength and per level, previously 18. And Forceful Swipes now also grants +1 melee physical damage per 3 strengths for the bear. The swipe from Forceful Swipe now also has a cooldown of 2 seconds, previously 5. Yeah, this okay. Not too big. I don't think that's gonna be too insane. Uniques. Balancing uniques has always goes hand in hand with skills, and several uniques have received updates to help make them more useful. Below, we've highlighted some we think you'd like to see. Eye of Reen no longer requires you to crit with a direct melee attack in order to gain a stack of Reen's ire. This means it can once again be used with Warpath and other skills which hit with indirect attacks. Pretty nice, right? Pretty nice. No longer needs a direct thing. Boulder's Wrath left. Okay. Boulder's Wrath left their foes quaking in their boots and now they are twice as angry. In Season 2, this unique will have a 100% chance to use Earthquake after using a non-challenging movement ability up to 2 times every 5 seconds. So, 2 times every 5 seconds, this still does not make Boulder's Wrath a good... It will be fine for clear, for mapping. You might want... Like, you could play the good old Earthquake Werebear build with Boulder's Wrath. But this will still make Earthquake Werebear lack in the single target department. So while I think this is a very much needed change for Boulder's Wrath, you could just remove it entirely and let us scale off of cooldown. It wouldn't even break the game at all. Like, at all. Eye of the Storm. Cloudy with a chance of Maelstrom. Not a chance anymore. From Season 2, the Eye of the Storm unique will now cast Maelstrom every 3 seconds, while also granting 6 to 15%. Well, now I guess you guys know why I'm pretty excited about Tornado Werebear. Tornado Human. Anyways, both of them are good, but like my favorite one is Human Tornado. Eye of the Storm is just absolutely insane. Increased damage per active Maelstrom goes up to 15%. This is going to be an absolute staple of Season 2, I think. For Shamans or Druids, Tornado in general, 15% is massive. Massive for this amulet. Stormbreaker. Lightning regularly strike twice, and in Season 2, instead of having a 36% chance to cast Lightning Strike when you use a skill that costs at least 10 mana, players using the Stormbreaker unique will gain a Storm stack when you directly use a melee attack and hit at least one enemy. You know, getting Storm stacks... I guess there's better ways to use Storm, you know, Gathering Storm right now and using Storm Bolts than expending Storm stacks. But I don't know, maybe there's something there. I think there are better options like, you know, Human Shaman, Werebear Druid with Tornado, but who knows? Maybe there's something there. New uniques. Through Mike's streams, the official trailer, and the Tour de Erase podcast, a fair few of the upcoming uniques have been teased already, but not all of them. While we won't be showing off the full armory, travelers can hope to find in Season 2. We'll be taking a look at 2 new uniques and a closer look at one some of you may have already seen. Tolmat's Incorrect History of Eterra. So this is the... Oh, they're not even showing it? Wait, are they not showing it? They're not showing it. Sir Tolman was one of the most well-regarded historians to document the history, flora, and fauna of Etera, allowing us to view the world as they saw it, as very few get a chance to. That is not what I say. The way they view the world was entirely correct. This offhand catalyst gives an off-pissed look. Is this a French word? Sounds like French. At the history of Etera, summoning a historically accurate minion from a random era of Etera to join you on your journey. So this is the offhand catalyst that gives you +2 skills to your minions, and yeah, summons a random minion here. Also gives like a flat spell damage to them. I think also flat melee damage. I'm not quite sure. It's a minion offhand catalyst basically. Elico's innovation. Critical strike chance has always been important when dealing damage. Now, with this innovative new unique, it's also important for recovering health and mana. Your crit strike chance also applies to your potion users. When a potion uses a crit, the health and ward you immediately gain from it is multiplied by a percentage of your critical strike multiplier. 25% of your crit strike multiplier applies to potions. You get health and ward on potion use. You get critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier. And that is on a poison and cold res base. Yeah, thankfully they nerfed Potion Ballista, right? So I don't know if this is gonna see use in some very innovative way. But yeah, it is a thing now. You can, you know, probably best use with ward on potion use to get some big amount of ward on demand. But yeah, we'll see. Getting crit multi on the belt can be kind of nice too. The oh, they are showing the Brewmaster buckle. Buckle up and drink until your heart is content. While it provides 4 extra potion slots, a hearty 20% to endurance, and 14 to vitality, the Brewmaster still has a secret hidden up their sleeve, or more accurately, in this belt that you'll only discover by wearing it. Okay, I can't spoil the surprise, but the Brewmaster buckle, vitality, endurance, potion slots, 10% of max health gain as endurance threshold for 4 seconds when you use a potion. Okay, this is pretty crazy. You know, you spam potion, you get a bunch of endurance threshold. It's on a good armor base. Has endurance, like this belt will most likely be a staple of the patch. Most likely be an absolute staple of the patch. Outro. Thank you for joining us today. We couldn't have made Last Epoch what it is without each and every one of you. Without your support, feedback, and love for ARPGs. We look forward to continuing on our journey to take Etera to greater and brighter heights. If you are interested in hearing more about Season 2, Itemization Change, you can watch the Talkative Tree podcast here, which I've made also a TLDR in my latest YouTube video, which I also linked to this video as well. We've still got plenty to come this week. Man, they have so much to reveal. It's so crazy. This patch is going to be amazing. So keep your eyes out for the quality of life, dungeon improvements, and more posts, followed by one we know you're all waiting for, the full patch notes of Season 2, Tombs of the Erased on April 11th. 2 days, guys. You can also catch ERG's team on an upcoming podcast with Aaron RPG and Frosty LaRue on April 11th, where they will be talking in depth about what is coming in Season 2. Thank you once again, travelers, and safe journeys through Etera. Absolutely amazing freaking hype post for today. I cannot be more excited again. And yeah, I think you should too. I mean, look at this. This looks good, no? Very good art. So that covers the hype day for today. And I will see all of you guys very, very soon in the next